Alright, let's get this going. I just realized I completely forgot to change all of my stream information. And so I need to change all of it because we are not doing any games. Actually, we might be playing one game, but we're doing something completely different. Hold on. There we go. Hi, BMO. That is what we're doing. Let's see. I need to... What am I doing? That's what I'm doing. That button. Not that one. That one? No. What am I looking for? That one. That's what I'm looking for. Turning you off. I'm turning you off. Yeah, I'm turning most of you off. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Let's see. Alright, we should be good to go. Okay. Yeah. This is what we're working on today. For all two of you who are gonna end up watching me live. I am teaching a class over on the StrawHat Grand Fleet Discord server on defender positioning and engagements. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. There you go. So now both sides are seeing everything. In theory, you guys should see my laser pointer here, right?
No.
No? Darn it. How about now?
Yes.
We can see it.
Awesome. Cool. So I kind of just repurposed this slideshow. This is something that I've used in the past, and I kind of just deleted a couple slides so that it would fit what we want. So I'm gonna try and breeze through this. This is recycled, so we'll see how this goes. This is defender positioning and engagements. We'll be using... I'm gonna go through this slideshow. This is kind of the setup that I've put together. We have the two teams. On the... This isn't like exactly how this is gonna work specifically. Like, this is still gonna be generalized, but I'm using these Pokemon as examples. To start out, we have our bot lane right at like 9 minutes. This is kind of where you would want to be setting up. At least to start, just trying to make sure you get these bunnies here, trying to be as aggressive as possible, making sure you can stun the Slowbro. That's the big thing. Since Crustle is here, you would have your Rock Slide available to stun the Slowbro out of Water Gun. You can do the same thing with a lot of different defenders. You can do that with Snorlax Tackle. You can do that with Lapras Ice Shard. It's just a very handy tool in the kit of most defenders to have early. Is that little stun to stun their secure Pokemon out of their secure. And you can definitely position yourself aggressively. I could push forward this way so that I can stun him from here. Or if I have the range, which in this case I do, I can just stun him from over here. But in the case of something like a Snorlax, I could definitely position myself right around here, where I can be hitting the bunny and the Slowbro at the same time. And then I just push the B button to secure with a boosted. But that's besides the point. Moving on to here, assuming we took both bunnies, we're pushing them back. We have more experienced than them, I would want to push forward this way. And I wouldn't want to go around this way because that leaves my Delphox vulnerable. Instead, I would want to push forward this way, taking the brunt of the Slowbro and the Gardevoir's attacks. Um, because I am the tank, right? I'm trying to tank all the damage here. Um, Plus, in the case of an early gank, he would be coming from this way because unless it's late enough to where the Baltoy are up, then he might be coming from here. But either way, it's not here or here. And so being right here is definitely the best option in terms of protecting my carry. And that's going to be the big goal when you're playing a defender is protect your carry. You're not trying to deal damage, you're not trying to be aggressive, you're trying to protect your team. And I'll go deeper into that later as well. So probably over here, a little higher up is another good place to be, but probably right here is your optimal location depending on what you're seeing on the enemy side. In this particular case, you're pushing them back. Now, if they had their Gardevoir down here, you'd want to be closer to here, to the corner of this wall where you can go around and protect if you need to. So assuming that were to happen, that would be closer to what you want to do. If the Gardevoir were here, you could back up just a little bit, still staying close to the center of the lane. But regardless, you're putting yourself between your team and your enemy, whether that's the defender or the carry, because either way, they can do some damage to your carry, because they are pretty squishy. Unlike you. Welcome in, guys. Moving on to 850 birds, because 850 birds are cool. One thing that I see a lot of people do that is a little bit less known, that it's something you probably shouldn't do, is I see defenders sitting down here for birds. And that's... I get it. I understand why you'd want to sit here. It's farther away from the jungle for a potential gank. It's more hidden. It's in a good spot where you can reach from here. But that's exactly why your attacker should be here. And not you. Because it's farther away from a gank. You're in range of the birds. You're safe in the bush. You should be closer to here as a defender. Because it's closer to a gank, and you're still in range, and you can protect your ally. Now, I know I said earlier that you should be sitting between your enemy and your ally, but that's only the case sometimes, because other times your enemy will have splash damage that can hit enemies from behind you, and at that point, it's just best not to get hit. But regardless, there are sometimes places where it's better to be precautionary as opposed to purely defensive, and that is a great position. This right here is a great position where you'd want to be in. You can be precautionary as opposed to purely defensive, and you're also pressuring these birds as well. Long story short, you're here in case of a gank. And a lot of times enemies will like to sit in either of these bushes when it comes to ganking. The jungler will sit in either of them, or even closer to up here to stay out of sight. I have occasionally seen sometimes where they'll come all the way around here and sit down here, or even here. But you're still close to your ally in relation, and your ally does have this wall as defense, and they can definitely get back to their goal zone with probably just a simple eject button.
I have a question.
What's up?
Would it not be better for like if I have playing a defender like Blastoise that can like shove stuff, would it not be better for me to be in that bottom right just below the Gardevoir hidden so I can shove it towards my attacker?
That is an excellent point. And I do agree. If you're playing something like Blastoise that has a shoving move early on, that can definitely be beneficial for you to be closer to here. But then again, you could definitely just Skull Bash in from here and Water Gun the birds. Um, definite good point. That is a very good point. You can definitely manipulate the farm or even the Gardevoir in that way. If the Gardevoir takes a step too close, you just Skull Bash Water Gun, and they're on your side of the field now. But don't take that risk if you don't have to. One thing I always like to say when you're playing a defender, one thing I always stress, if you don't have to take damage, don't. And that goes with your positioning as well. You can be aggressive with your positioning, but sitting here might be a little too aggressive because you're farther away from your carry. You're in the way of a potential gank. If you get caught here with all three enemies here, then you're basically dead, and you can get closed in on very quickly by sitting in this bush. If you're able to pull something off from there, then great. It's a great it is a cool little aggressive position for you to be in, but if things go south, they will go south very fast. So that is a risk that you need to be willing to make by sitting in this bush. I do still think this is more optimal, especially since you can be manipulative either way. But yes, that is a good point. Moving on now, let's assume for a minute enemy team took the birds. Birds are gone. Enemy team took most of them, and now they are ahead on experience, so they are pushing forward here. Enemy pushes back to goal zone like they would have done. You would also start to pull back with your ally. You're kind of tied to your ally a little bit. You want to stay on that string. If you break that string, then your ally's in danger. You're staying on that string that's within range of your ally. If you can hit your ally with your moves, your ally will be safe. Because if you can hit your ally with your moves, that means you can hit your enemy with your moves that dive them. So if there's a potential gank that comes in, like let's assume that Zoroark that we saw comes in from here, if you are within range of your ally, you will be able to hit the enemy Zoroark as well. By the way, I just heard the chat notification. I can't see chat right now, so if I don't respond to you, I'm sorry. I only have so many monitors, guys. But yeah. 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 Sorry. Yeah. I lost it. I lost where I was. My bad, guys.
Oh, it's all good. Hey, you were saying if your teammate is in the
Yes.
range of your move,
Yes.
then you can stop the gank.
Yes. And that is the case in most scenarios. In this particular case, it's more precautionary than anything because you don't see the Zoroark anywhere, any sign of a gank. So you could potentially be a little closer to here so that you can maybe stop the Gardevoir if it pushes too close. Like if you had your 6 at the time, which you don't, but if you have your 6 by 840, then I am very impressed. But if you did have your 6, then you would see the Gardevoir push into this bush, and you'd X-Scissor them into this wall, and your Delphox could stun them and probably kill them. Or you can be in range of a Rock Tomb, just kind of block them off here, and your ally can probably kill them. Same difference. But regardless, being able to position yourself to where you can be defensive or aggressive at any given moment is definitely a plus. Being aggressive can mean setting up the Rock Tomb, or it can mean pushing forward to launch a Fury Cutter, or it can mean being able to push the Zoroark if it were here.
Secondary question from Nee.
What's up?
Would you say that to some degree, the aggressive versus defensive play style also kind of depends on which defender you're playing?
It can. I think there's an aspect of both that can go into playing any defender for the most part. Um, like I'm gonna take Gudra for example. I normally don't play Gudra. I really don't like playing Gudra. It's not a Pokemon that I like in general, design wise. But I think it's a good example for this type of question because Gudra, that's the one I'm talking about. Gudra really likes to play aggressive, hyper aggressive, making enemies fight it. But I think there's also an aspect of trying to make sure that it can be protective as well. Gudra doesn't usually play very protective. The way that Gudra protects its allies is by making them fight itself. It doesn't really have much else to it. But I think you can definitely position yourself in a way where if you can reach your ally with your acid spray or with your power whip, then you can definitely drag enemies off of them or allow your ally to escape while you have those gooey slows stopping them. So I think you can definitely position yourself defensively, even with an aggressive defender. Um, I would agree. Yes, if you're playing Gudra, you might want to be closer to here because you don't see the Zoroark, and you can try and hit this Gardevoir. But regardless, you still have that option because even if you're sitting here, you're still just a step away from being in range because you're sitting here. You're just a step away from being in range for the most part. Um, but yeah, being aggressive, you could attack the Zoroark. If they do decide to gank, you could throw the wall. You could push forward and throw a Fury Cutter in case the Gardevoir decided to come in. Or playing defensively, just being in range of the Delphox, trying to make sure and a potential Zoroark doesn't come in and eliminate your ally because you can be in range of that. You can try and help out if you can. You're without having X Scissor, there's not a whole lot you can do to defend. So positioning your wall is very important. I know this isn't a Crustle class, but I thought I'd throw that out. There are some defenders where your mid game, your early mid game is very weak. And that includes Crustle, that includes Wartortle, what else? Snorlax to a degree, I suppose. Um, Lapras is another good one. There are some Pokemon where your early mid game is not as strong as you'd want it to be, and so you have to get creative with the tools that you have. Learn what they do, learn how they function, learn how to push them to their limits. Hit more than one enemy with your ice shard, with your Lapras ice shard. Split your ally and your enemy with your Rock Tomb. Position it just right so that you can make that move. Use your Slack Off to dodge damage as Slowbro. There's a lot of ways that you can get creative and try and do what you would normally try and do with your full kit. But for the most part, there's not a lot you can do. But regardless, playing defensive, even early game, very important. I'm going to move on now because I've been talking about that for a little too long. Let's assume now it's 8:40-ish. You already rotated after Regidrago. Team decided that for some reason everyone wants to go bot lane even though you're playing with randoms. Which I like that choice actually. If that happened to me in a solo queue game, I would be very happy. But yeah, this right here as a team is a very strong position. You have your tank right here in the bush, you have your all-rounder here creating your front line, you have your support behind the wall being able to help your ally, and your speedster kind of in the middle of everything with your attacker in the back. All you have vision on right now is this Slowbro. You do know, let's assume for a minute that you know Slowbro and Gardevoir were pushing goal a little bit ago. and now they've backed off. You see Slowbro, Gardevoir probably went into a bush somewhere. You caught a glimpse of Blissey on your mini map somewhere around central area. That probably means they were rotating, but you haven't seen them since. And then the Machamp is nowhere to be found. I would say this is probably the best spot for you to be. You could be here or here even. I would not recommend being here because then you're not in a position to go around very easily. And I also wouldn't recommend being here for the same reason. Don't go past this wall probably because your allies aren't past this wall. Be where your allies are. If your allies are kind of splitting between these two walls, split with them. Be able to go in either direction whenever you need to. Make split-second decisions. Because that's how you play as a good defender. You need to be able to position yourself in a way where you can make those quick decisions and not take consequences for it. Make fast decisions, be decisive about your decisions, go in on your decisions. And that's just a general gameplay tip. Just do that with whatever you play. Another free tip, always have a way out. Whether your way out is back to your goal zone or whether your way out is wiping the team. I would always have a way out. Yeah. So let's assume for a minute your team starts to push. You have your ally right here pushing forward. You have your support here. Speedster is setting itself up to potentially wipe. Let's assume for a minute your attacker was low on health and needed to go heal, and so they've backed off for a little bit. But they're going to come back soon, probably. The first thing I see in this scenario is I see my ally starting to push forward a little bit, and I want to go with him. I want to go with them. I want to push forward as well, so I'm going to go this way. I'm going to pressure the center of the lane. Make sure to form that wall that they can't get past, so that my allies have that ability to sweep through what's trying to break the wall. Because if my allies get through this wall, or if my enemies get through this wall and they push this way, then my ally just has to go around back, and that's not going to go very well. The flank will almost always be better than the backstab. Almost always. Now that's not always. There are some scenarios where it can be set up that way. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I'm not a carry player. I can play carries, but I'm not a carry player. I don't really know all of that right away. But in general, trying to make that wall, not even right here, but also right here. Because your ally is here and you're here. You can extend the pressure from your ally, even through this wall here. You can just extend what your team is trying to do. And your entire team as a whole can be pressuring this whole space as opposed to just here. I made that a lot more complicated than it needed to be. But to put it simply, if you don't get anything else from this slide, at least get this. Make the wall with more than one person. You are not the only person who is the wall. Your allies can also be part of the wall. Make the wall with your allies. Be the cornerstone of the wall, but your allies are part of it as well.
So is this where communication really plays a big part?
For sure. Yeah.
Now if let's say I'm, and like you used the example, I'm half health or lower, and then we'll say my carry, like the Guardy or the Lucario, they push over. Should I abandon them to go heal?
No.
And I should just get ready to sacrifice myself?
I say this all the time. I'm never going to stop saying it because I believe that it's true. A good defender player can give value and defend their team even with no HP. Because they know how to use their moves, they know how to place their moves, and they know how to do what they need to do. And they know how to stay out of range until they need to be in range. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. If you have the opportunity to go back and heal, please do. Don't just push into everything with no HP, because that's just dumb. But if you're in a scenario where you don't have any health, but you still need to be there. Like if you're in a position where you have to be there to help your team, or your team's not going to make it out, then try and stay as long as you can. And I say this as well all the time, and I'll keep saying it. I won't stop saying it. If it comes down to you or your team will get out, or you'll die trying. You are the defender. You are the cornerstone. You are the most selfless player on that field. All right. Moving on to first Reggie. We're sitting at 7 minutes. Sorry, 7 minutes for first Reggie. Your support decides to come out and check this bush here, which is a smart play. They don't see anything here. You don't know if there's anybody in here or in here. You probably assume the Zoroark is somewhere. Maybe the Slowbro could be in this bush here. But definitely being right here is a good spot to be. Maybe even throwing a move to, in this particular case, you could throw a Rock Tomb to check the bush. Or if you're playing something like a Snorlax, you could push forward and heavy slam here. Check the bush. Your ally is ready to push right here. You have your attacker coming down this way, maybe ready to do some damage from this way. But as of right now, this is probably not a good time to engage. You're in a good position here to maybe engage if your team can pull together and do something. But your team right now is not in a good spot to engage. You're kind of forming this defensive spot right here. You have this defensive wall right here where you're able to help really any of your allies really quickly. But your allies are just far enough away to where if you try and push anything, they're out of range and they can't follow up. If your team can't follow up, don't engage. And that's something I'll always be saying. That's something that I used to struggle with all the time and still do. Just engaging when it's too early. Now, if my Delphox were to come around this way and start hitting this Reggie, they were to come out here, start hitting this Reggie, throw a Fire Spin, not throw a Fire Spin, throw a Fire Blast, that one, right on top of here, to make the Reggie start moving. That is a good opportunity to go check this bush, because now they see the Reggie moving. They assume we're starting to rip, and they have to make a move. We are forcing them to make a decision. By my Delphox starting to attack this Reggie. Now that's a good opportunity to go engage and try and check this bush. Hopefully my Lucario will follow me as well for a follow-up. But now my Delphox is close enough to where if I engage and I find something, my Delphox is there to help. I'm skipping all the way to Ray Fight. I'm realizing that's a really big jump. But yeah, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna try and go through these last few sides pretty quickly. But yeah, setting the scene here. We have Slowbro here, Blissey here, Machamp here. Gardevoir and Zoroark are not yet in view, and you're not exactly sure where they are. I think in this particular scenario, you have your Speedster up here getting vision. You have your supporter in range of basically everything. Sitting here, just zoning out and being a menace probably your best bet. Just be a wall, be a menace, maybe throw a rock tomb here and there to be annoying. If you see the Machamp take a step too close, maybe throw a rock tomb right here, catch them out. Or if you're playing something else, maybe a heavy slam or a bubble beam. Just scare him, honestly. The second you land a CC move on somebody, they're going to be scared because they don't know if there's going to be a follow-up most of the time. And if there is a follow-up, that'll scare them even more because now they're dead. But yeah. For now, in this particular scenario, holding this position is definitely a good idea. I would not start to engage here because your Delphox is here, yes, but your Speedster is back here. Your Speedster being back here makes things a little difficult for you specifically. In terms of helping the team, this is a good spot for it because it's getting vision all the way over here, which you honestly kind of need because if in terms of a flank, you would be struggling. I'm going to say this again for people who have joined. I just heard the chat notification. I can't see chat right now on Twitch because I only have so many monitors. And so if you ask a question in chat and I don't answer you, I am very sorry. I will try to answer after this slideshow. But regardless, probably not the best time to engage right here because it would be very short notice. Your attacker would be just barely out of range, I think. Your all-rounder probably wasn't ready for that. And even then, they might not be ready. They might not be in range either. Now, if something like this were to happen, where your Zoroark comes into view, enemy Zoroark comes into view over here. Let's assume for a second Delphox threw a Fire Spin over here to potentially block the Zoroark. Speedster pulls back the Scyther because it's scared of a Zoroark. Honestly, I would be too. Supporter pushes itself in a bit more of a defensive position because of the Zoroark, especially since these guys are starting to push here. These guys are starting to pressure you. So you would honestly try and back up close to your attacker, close to your Delphox. You're still making that wall here in line with your Lucario because your Lucario as the brawler is not only a damage dealer, but it's also part of your wall. I said that earlier. The Lucario is not the main part of the wall. Obviously, you are the main part of the wall. But as long as you are here, the Lucario is also in the wall. It is part of your front line. It is part of what keeps your back line safe. That includes your supporter too sometimes, depending on what supporter you're playing and depending on what's going on in any given moment. But I think right about here is probably a decent time to engage. If it's getting late in the match and you have to make something happen, now is probably a good time to force something. But if you don't have to force something, I wouldn't yet in this particular scenario. Because you have the Zoroark here. Honestly, trying to force something would be dangerous with the Zoroark here because it can definitely flank you, wipe out your back line. However, if the Zoroark weren't there, let's assume for a minute the Zoroark isn't here. Zoroark doesn't exist. It's still over here somewhere. You don't know. But this would be a great time to try and catch the Machamp, try and force a fight so that you can try and do something here. As long as this Zoroark isn't here to make problems, then you can definitely push this fight. Because that is a net good for your team. Moving forward, the Zoroark pushes further. Your all-rounder kind of pushes back towards the Zoroark. Your supporter kind of becomes part of this wall. Like I said, the supporter can be the wall as well. The defender supporter core, that's known as your support core. Defenders and supporters are both support Pokemon. That's your support core. They can be a very big wall when they're put together. So in this particular scenario, Ally team is being smart, going to 3v1 this Zoroark. which probably got caught in the fire spin, by the way, unless it's smart, which it dodged, in which case it dodged. However, in this particular scenario, we're kind of setting up a spot where we're splitting the team in half. The damage dealers are fighting this Zoroark, and then once they're done, they're going to come support this. And once that happens, we have Gardevoir caught. Eject button into Unite. Alcremie Unite on the entire team. Probably a Delphox Unite over here. And then everybody just dies because you positioned right. And that's the end of that slideshow. Hey Bimo, are you still in chat? Yes, you are. Can you delete that message and ban that guy? Thank you, Bimo. Okay. Cool. So all right. Next thing I want to talk about, I was planning on doing this earlier, but I forgot to before I started the presentation, but that's okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to explain the role of a defender, because that'll kind of help you know how to position. So there are a lot of things that defenders are good for, including taking hits, repositioning enemies, and protecting allies, all of which require good positioning. For a defender, this means staying out of range of enemies while still maintaining vision on them and continuously moving around to dodge moves like skill shots until it's time to strike. And you kind of saw that a little bit while I was explaining that presentation. Try to stay in front of your team if they'll let you. Be hovering between your team and your opponents, maybe kind of moving around along that line in case of like a Decidueye snipe or something. But in general, you're going to be trying to provide vision and protect your team. You simply being there in their face pressures them, usually, will pressure them to stay back, at least to start. Being able to position yourself in a way where you can maximize your crowd control is also a really good thing. Trying to make sure you're hitting the right targets is a huge aspect. Making sure you're in the right spots. I'm gonna fix this. Hold on. Sorry. There. All fixed. All better. There we go. But yeah, just trying to make sure you're in the right place to be able to do everything you can. Moves like Trevenant Hornleech or Slowbro Telekinesis, being able to push or pull whatever into in your different directions, right? Like if you just push somebody with Hornleech, then you don't know what's happening, right? You might have just pushed an ally. You might have just pushed an enemy out of your Gardevoir's future sight. and they're gonna get upset at you now. um, but yeah, just trying to make sure you use you time things right, um, and you position things right. Um, a lot of defenders have what's called peel, and that can be pulling opponents away from your allies. Um, it's a very strong ability, especially when it comes to protecting your back line. Um, it can be used in a lot of different scenarios, but especially with your back line, it's a very useful thing to have. Um, but you don't always have to be pushing things away from your team. Sometimes you want to push things towards your team. Like if your team has an advantage in a fight, you can position yourself to get around your enemy team and maybe catch a corner woodhammer, push your enemies towards your team, and try and just eliminate them using that way of enabling your team.
No stream for this? No stream?
Well, I'm just talking right now.
Copy that. Happy.
Another thing I like to do is push people back into a Delphox Unite. I think that's just funny because they're like, yes, I finally got out, and I'm back in, and now I'm dead. But yeah, Delphox Unite does some crazy damage if you're able to get them to stay in. Another thing that is more common to do, but is equally as funny, pushing the entire enemy team back to push Regieleki into a goal zone. One thing you have to be careful of is when Regieleki is pushing your goal zone, you don't want to accidentally push it into your own goal. So that also comes with knowing what your moves do and being able to position them right. I remember one time when I was like first starting the game almost. Well, it was a little later because Gudra came out after I started. But regardless, I was playing Gudra, I was playing Power Whip, I was defending a Regieleki from my goal zone, and I pressed Power Whip because I wasn't thinking. And Regieleki went in. Because Power Whip pulls enemies towards you, and I was sitting on my goal. So that is something to be careful of for sure. Another thing I like to do is if you don't know where you want to push an enemy, look for the nearest wall and push them to the wall. Like if you don't know, hey, I don't know if I want to push my enemies backwards, I don't know if I want to push my enemies forwards, I kind of just want to make it easier for my team to hit them and not let them hit my team. And so I'm just going to push them to the wall because they're pinned to the wall now. You can't go through the wall. Your enemies can't go through the wall, and you're just there. You're kind of just pinning them there against the wall. It's really funny to do with Snorlax block because you can do it for like 4 seconds. But yeah. Oh yeah, and keep an eye on your enemies, on your allies too. Keep a close eye on your allies. If your allies are doing okay, and your allies are fighting, and they have their moves up and they're ready to do something, ready to follow up, pull your enemies towards them. If your allies are in a little bit of trouble, they just burned all of their moves, maybe they are a little bit low on HP, push them away. And maybe try and disengage as well. Go back to your team because they need you still. I want to close out this segment of the class. There's still going to be more, but I'm going to close out this segment of it with this paragraph that I have already written down that I'm going to be trying to read. Keyword trying. Most people consider defenders to be heavy brawlers or just a tanky hindrance. when really they're just they are a form of support. Just as much of a support as any supporter is. If you play a defender with this in mind, it should go better for you. Protect your allies and don't let them die. I said this before already, but if you have to choose between you or your ally, let yourself go down. You are the most selfless player on that field, and your allies will never go down, or you'll die trying. And that's something that I will never stop saying. I think it is going to be. I think it's true right now. I think it will stay true. It is a very truth statement. Anyway, I think it's time for a game. What do you guys think?
Can we do a little bit of questions first?
Questions? Sure.
Anybody have anything else, or can I start? Okay, well, I'll jump in. So you were talking about, like, in the early laning phase, basically your role as a defender of trying to basically stop the secure when they're
Yes.
securing farm on the enemy team. So do you always focus on that, or is there like a certain point in the laning phase where you focus on like trying to chip down their attacker, or you're always just trying to stop the secure on the enemy side?
I think there's a time and place for that. Like if there's no farm nearby, but for the most part, if there is farm that you are gonna be able, like, think ahead. Obviously, like if you can think ahead and you're not gonna be anywhere near that piece of farm in like 2 seconds, don't go for it. But if you can think ahead, and you can think, hey, I think I can take this piece of farm. Take the piece of farm. Farm is extremely valuable. Farm is very important. For both you and for your ally, and for taking it away from your team, or from your enemy team. If you can take farm away from your enemy team, that is more valuable than any farm that your ally will ever take.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I was asking more of like, should you ever be, so you're like in that specific example, you were talking about stopping the slow bro because that was the secure, but
Yeah.
say there's no farm up and that Gardevoir's there. Are you trying to like chip on that Gardevoir at all, or are you just kind of letting them do their thing? Like you're gonna still be hanging back.
Honestly, I think that depends on the scenario. If you
Okay.
are in a position where you can be pressuring, like if you're playing something with a strong early game like Mamoswine, then
Yeah.
you can definitely start pushing forward, chipping on their attacker, maybe going for a goal if you can. Just playing aggressive like that. Whenever you're playing aggressive, try and chip their attacker and not their defender. I think that's kind of where you're going with that, Butter. But yes, if you are ever in a scenario where you're kind of trying to brawl it out and you're maybe defending a goal zone, assuming the attacker is the one with the points to score, attack the attacker, the damage dealer.
Makes sense.
Or if you're trying to just stop goals, just stop the goal. That's something I like using the lock-on icon for. A lot of people don't like the lock-on icon, but I think it's really useful in a lot of scenarios, including trying to defend goal zones. Like if you see an enemy that has 15 and an enemy that has 50, then you can stop the enemy with 50 very easily. But the enemy with 15 might get their goals in a little faster, so you might have to target them first. And so you target them on the lock-on icon and then just hit them, because it'll hit them automatically.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there as well. My bad. Did I answer your question? Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, no, that was good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we get into a game?
So, question.
Yeah, go for it.
as far as when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, would you say that there are certain situations that are immediate, like you just need to back off, or would that depend on like who you're with and which defender you're playing, kind of like more situational?
If you are with one ally, I just thought of this off the top of my head as a random example. If you are with your ally and it's just you and one other ally, just you and an attacker, and you are attempting to push a goal zone, and all of a sudden you see that goal zone has 5 enemies on it. I don't care how stupid your attacker wants to be, just get out of there. Because there's no way both of you are getting out alive, and so just save one of you.
Okay, so that goes counterproductive to what you had said earlier about either they get out or I die trying.
I mean, yeah, but there's only so much you can do with solo queue randoms.
Okay.
Like if you notice right away that they see, oh, this is a bad idea, I need to leave. Yeah, probably protect them. But if they're just continually pushing in and they really want that goal, just leave them.
Okay. Follow-up question. Is it ever okay to abandon a stupid lane partner? Like if they're just constantly being over aggressive and they die more than you can save them, is it okay to just say, "Hey, I'm going to a different lane"?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because abandoning your lane partner also means you're abandoning the goal zone. If your lane partner is being stupid and then you leave too, there's nobody to defend.
Okay. If I have any more questions, I'll come back with more.
Cool. Any other questions before we get into this game?
Somebody's currently
I got to
typing.
run, but thank you, Coco.
You're welcome. What were you saying?
I said somebody's. Do you ever want to rotate to mid or help a strong side jungle invade, or do you want to stay in lane early to mid game?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you ever want to rotate to mid, or do you want to stay in your lane kind of early to mid game?
It honestly that depends on the scenario. I think that does require more communication. So if you're playing in a 5 stack and your team calls for it, then probably is a good option. Um, I will say a lot of pro teams, if they do decide to rotate to any given lane, they'll leave one person in the other lane to take farm and protect the goal zone and just be there. Um, like I remember at one tournament that I was watching, the casters called Zugrug the steward of the bot lane because he was just there constantly and he was there protecting and he was there defending even when all 4 of his teammates were up at top Reggie. Not at top Reggie, but just pushing top goal early on.
Okay. There was another question. I don't know if you can see chat, so I'm just reading the ones I see, just so it gets out there.
Yeah.
The other was letting them break the bottom or break the pad so that farm spawns on my side would be better than just giving them XP from KOs, right?
Yes. Definitely. I say this all the time too. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna say it again. If you have to decide between you or your goal zone, protect yourself. Back off to the other goal zone. Don't let them give you experience. And if you can stop a bigger goal and force a small overcap, that is even better. But I understand that's not easy to do, and you probably won't be able to do that every time.
Right.
But either way, letting them break the goal zone not only gives you catch-up experience, like you said, but it also protects you. Doesn't give them experience from a KO.
Okay. So far, that's the only questions I've seen in chat. I just want to make sure they got answered.
All right, sweet. I'm going to play a game now.
Would you like a competent attacker to go lane with you?
I already am in queue. I'm sorry. I'm in, or readied up. I mean, whichever term that is.
I wasn't saying me. I'm not competent attacker.
I can't see your
Yeah,
your
I'm
screen,
I'm
though.
sharing it right now.
Okay.
Can you guys see it?
Yes, thank you.
All right. My team is getting greedy. I was hoping for a draft game, honestly. Let's see. With this particular team comp, I think I want more of a supportive defender. Yeah, I think I want Snorlax here. No, not that one. Darn it. It gave me the Blastoise. That's annoying. And I have Spin Pump items on it. So I'm going to have to play Spin Pump. I can work with it. I'll work with it. We'll see how it goes. That was unfortunate. I put my controller down and accidentally pushed the toggle left. Or to the right. But that's okay. We'll work with it. You gotta be kidding me. That went poorly. But yeah, you see how I'm kind of in the way, making sure I'm trying to soak up those hits from the enemy team so that I can try and secure as best I can. I did that very poorly in that example, but I tried. Annoying. Yay. There's not much I can do right now except be annoying because I don't have any support. Which means I would normally go for that contested farm, but I really don't want to right now because I can't. One thing I can do, though, is push that, and my team doesn't want to do anything with it. That's okay. That was snapback. But yeah, notice how I was able to position myself to hit both of them with my boosted attack, and so I slowed both of them, letting both me and my Zeraora get out alive. And that was all because I was able to position myself in that particular way. We have this contested coming up in about 5 seconds. No. Yes, Score Shield. Darn it. Yeah, this is the scenario that I was talking about where if you want to choose between protecting yourself or protecting the goal, best to protect yourself. Don't give them the experience. Darn it. I tried for that. Ow.
I'm so confused. Are these two playing together and ganking their own center together?
I don't know, man.
I'm so confused.
And they're yelling at me. I don't know what's happening anymore. I would take that ball toy, but that's not enough experience for me to do anything, so I'm going to take this farm here. If we still had tier 1 up, I would leave this alone, but since they broke tier 1 and we have tier 2, I made a mistake there. That's okay. That was on me. That was my bad. Don't be like me, guys. Don't make stupid mistakes that let Regieleki go in.
It's alright. We didn't see what you were doing. It's kind of glitching.
Yeah, I'm not saving him there. I hate this Pokemon. I am level 6. There we go. In that particular case, my positioning was just trying to be annoying, make sure I wasn't getting hit. There's not a whole lot I can do when it comes to Whirlpool. But yeah, I saw the Dragonite come over and I decided to back off a little bit. And he saw me and decided to back off as well. I'm seeing right here, I kind of just want to be here. And then I can jump in, hit that, hit that. Ah, I wanted the Unite move there. I would have gotten the Dragonite.
Hey, make sure you save a replay of this. I think those two players are the same player.
That would be weird.
How are they the same player?
I've seen it before. I saw 3 characters all running very similar move sets, but they were literally just like they'd run around and like hit walls so they could group on top of each other.
Wow. Is that
Yeah.
even possible?
I mean, yeah, if you've got like an emulator on your computer.
Mm. Okay. It's unfortunate that they left you by yourself in the lane.
Yeah. Okay, our Gujar wants to defend that on their own, so I'm going to go top. I don't see any weak farm I can pick off on the way. Well,
And your Zera is just barely moving enough to yeah. He is the void. Yeah, just hopefully y'all surrender because it's silly at this point.
You can do it! What a goal!
and I'm manipulating the farm too as best I can.
Yeah, so
Annoying.
just like in the past said, when in doubt, hit them up against the wall, and there goes their carry.
Yep. I really want to. I'm tempted.
Just do it.
Just do it? Okay.
Yeah, just do it. I mean, you've already got 2 people on your team that gave up, so
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Imagine getting out damaged by a defender. Couldn't be me. Anyway, now we're gonna see what happens with a good game. Let's try that again.
You don't want us to join you? Oh, never mind.
Oh, sorry. Just for
No,
the,
never mind.
just for the sake of teaching, I want to have just one. I want to have it just be me, because communication would throw off my teaching.
Gotcha.
He's a good businessman. He just wants a silent partner.
Okay, you know what? There's our draft game. Who's banning Buzzwole? Okay. I'm okay with these bans. Unfortunate we didn't ban Palmot, but I'm okay with it. I'm gonna try and pick Trevenant if I can, because I think in terms of positioning, Trevenant is one of the most important to have good positioning for. Although it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to with what my team is picking. Although enemy team is also picking a lot of late game Pokemon, so I don't know. We'll try it. See how it goes. And there's the A9. I don't really have a need for the Rocky Helm this game. Or the Assault Vest. I see a question in Discord that says best defenders / builds to carry in solo queue. That is a very good question. I think in terms of defender carry builds, you have 2 or 3 options. You have Spin Pump Blastoise, which is what I just ended up accidentally picking. And then you have Curse Trevenant. And then if you really want a third option, I suppose you have Parasong Lapras. But in terms of carrying as a defender, You can do that with any defender. Any defender that you're good at can carry a game. Whether you're playing a carry moveset or not, you can hard carry. I just... Oh. Why didn't you pick a lane? That's fine. Missed it. But yeah, I'm putting myself between my enemies and the farm because I'm trying to protect the farm from hits from them, and I just missed the... I tried to chunk the... Let me auto... I tried to chunk the Cinder, but I wasn't able to. But yeah, I'm trying to get better vision over here so that I can see when they're here, so that I can get the secure. I missed him. It's fine. I see on my mini-map there's farm up here. So I'm going to pull it towards me and let my team secure it. We got birds right here. I'm going to try to secure whatever I can. I got the score somehow, and so now I have my Woodhammer. I can score again, so why not? I tried to position myself right there in a way that if I was able to catch him with my Woodhammer before he went into the goal zone, I could, but my Woodhammer didn't come up in time, and so I wasn't able to. You also see me just randomly hitting my boosteds from time to time, and that's because Trevenant's boosted will heal me, and so I'm trying to heal with my boosted sometimes. I see this Regidrago here. I'm ready to come over and hit the Regidrago if I need to, but I also see that enemy has stayed in their lane. And so I'm going to chill here for a second. My team backed off, and so I'm going to back off as well. I see 4 enemies, so I'm not going to save my ally here. They are going to be able to break, but that is a 6-point overcap, so I am okay with that breaking right there. Especially since it gives us all this farm. I should not have come back. I didn't realize that my team wanted to be on their own. Sorry, guys. You're welcome. I don't know what I did, but you're welcome. I am going to try and defend this because it's tier 2. I am Trevenant, which means I have very good defensive power. Thank you for heading to bottom path. That is a Gyarados Unite. I'm going to go to my goal zone, get the shield. And now I'm going to go protect my ally because he just popped it. My ally right there was close enough to him that I was able to push him away. Now I'm going to try and go towards their jungle, do what I can to push them out of their goal zone and keep them out of their goal zone. And just do what I can to be annoying. Looks like we want to recall, grab some farm maybe. They're heading back for some reason. I see Meowscarada in jungle. He's the only one I can see, and he's about to die. So I'm going to focus on this farm here. I'm going to try and manipulate this farm so that I can take it for free. I have a Unite move now. I see 2 enemies. Trying to get this shield here so that I don't die. But also pressuring them. I'm positioning myself in a way where I can catch with a corner Woodhammer whenever I can. Throwing the Unite move right here. Ow, that hurt. I noticed that I was about to die, so I wanted to do whatever the heck I could in a moment's notice there. So I saw that my Woodhammer was on cooldown for too long, and my Horn Leech was just about to come back. So I threw my Horn Leech as a last-ditch effort because I knew I was about to die anyway. And I tried to do something with it by maybe stunning something that was low on health. As you saw, I was unfortunately unable to get that to happen, but the effort was there. I see an objective bot and I see an objective top. I see my allies are kind of getting that for free, and I also see the Unite move from the Hoopa coming out, and so I can go down there right now. Pushing that away from my enemies. And I'm dead. But I kind of did a little bit of work there. I see Registeel up top, but I also see enemies were bot lane, and they might be ready to pressure this goal zone, but I've waited long enough. I don't think they're going to be pressuring. They are, in fact, on top. Lapras Unite comes out. I'm going to hop on. And I'm being annoying. Yay. Notice how I didn't use the Woodhammer there. I had no need to. I'd rather have the maneuverability instead of waste time throwing the second Woodhammer. Right there, what I wanted to do was I wanted to protect my allies by stopping enemies from going where I don't want them. And that can mean throwing a Woodhammer in a spot where I don't want my enemies to be, even if it doesn't hit them. And so that's what I just did in that scenario. I threw my Woodhammer so that even if they were to step into it, my allies would... Or even if they were to step into that spot where I didn't want them to be, my allies would still be safe, because that is also now a danger zone for them. I see this Gary is low. I want to keep vision on it. They're headed to bot lane. Bush check. Nope. Checking bushes over here, making sure my allies are safe. If I walk into a bush, I have a chance to survive. If my ally squishy attacker walks into a bush, they are not going to survive, probably. I see Gary here, and I wanted to catch him, but I missed. That was a poor Unite move. It was also poor timing for the Unite move, but it secured a kill, so it got some value at least. What I want to do now, because they have 2 down, and we have Reggie going in, is I want to pressure this Rip. I want to force them to make a choice. So I'm going to start hitting this Groudon. I'm not really doing anything by hitting it. I'm just kind of hitting it. Forcing them to make a choice. I burned that Unite move, which is really good for me. I'm dead. However... Or, I said Unite move. I burned the Eject. I burned the A9's Eject, which is really good, because that Eject button pairs really well with the Unite move. And that combo is really strong to be able to get off the table. I see my enemies secured Groudon, so now I'm going to pull back. I'm going to focus on one goal zone, because if I leave one goal zone to go protect another, that is a bad choice. I'm just trying to stall as long as I can. Throw my moves, back off. Throw my moves, back off. So now an ally of mine has Groudon buff. And now we're going to try and push this goal zone. I'm going to save some of these points for my Gengar, who should be picking up points because he has the Groudon buff. That was a good Unite move from our Hoopa. I'm ready to throw a Unite move right here. Nice. We have a chance still. Lapras got the goal up top. Just trying to stop whatever I can here. They don't have enough time to push anymore. So I'm just trying to do what I can to be annoying. 10 seconds left in the game. They don't have time to go score a goal. So I think we win.
5,
I think we do.
4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
I think we win.
The Koopa's the control.
He had a couple good plays, but for the most part, he kind of seemed like he was learning Hoopa. I also had no Unite at Ray, but it's fine.
You lose.
No, you would have won if he didn't score. Like, he just let him score. He would have won. It was like
Gyarados with the win.
I saw somebody in Discord said as an answer to carry defenders, Scald Bro. That is extremely false. That could not be any more false. Scald Bro is utility, not damage. It has burn and slow, and that is all it needs. It does not need more damage. You can't rely on dealing damage with it. It's not a reliable tool. Plus, if you're able to deal damage with it, you're using it on Pokemon that are squishy enough to where they're mages. They're special attack damage Pokemon. You're not cutting anything from them. You want to be using it against Brawl so that you're cutting in the attack of a lot of Brawl-focused attack damage carries. But yeah, that's a little side tangent. Sorry. Are there any more questions? Because I think that's going to be it. Are there any more questions? I got plenty of time. I can answer questions for the next half hour if we need to. Ask some questions. Questions. What's my YouTube channel? It's the link for it is Coco Plays Unite, just like my Twitch channel, but the name of the channel is just Coco. It's also linked in my Twitch description, and it's linked in the connections in my Discord profile. Mensa, you got anything?
No, I just wondered if you can see the Discord chat now.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
In the late game, what's the primary goal? Staying close to your carry, vision, or something else? I think it's all of the above. You noticed that you might have noticed in that Ray fight, in the Groudon fight, during Greg fight, I was trying to stay close enough to my carry where I could help them whenever I could, but I was also in front of them providing vision. When we say that we're giving vision, we're not just giving any vision we can. We're giving important vision. We're telling people that they're coming before they would have known beforehand. Another way of giving good vision is knowing how many people are attacking a particular objective. But that's something different entirely. Would I agree that Ice Fang Mamoswine is the best defender in the game? I would not. I think the best defender in the game right now is probably Lapras. I'm going to be completely honest.
I would disagree. I would say Snorlax.
Snorlax is a very close second.
Lapras is a really good all-rounder right now, but I wouldn't say he's a good defender.
I think you're not playing Lapras right then.
I don't know. It doesn't stun as much as other defenders, and it doesn't have as much sustain as other defenders. It's kind of like in an odd middle.
Lapras falls into a category that I like to call almost true defenders. I think it can be played as a really strong defender. It just doesn't have as high of a ceiling in that regard as something like a Snorlax, for example. But in terms of flat, just how good is it? I think Lapras is probably the strongest defender right now. Snorlax is a close second, and Mamoswine I think is third probably. Crustle is up there. I think Slowbro is situational, but in its given situations, it is very strong.
It's funny at Worlds. I only saw I saw either Slowbro or Blastoise, and if those two weren't taken, then they would kind of pick something else. But Spin Pump, I mean, there were Spin Pumps everywhere.
Yeah.
Just like the Snorlax is just soaking up damages and being able to wall everybody off. It was, yeah.
Do you agree that Pain Split Trevenant is a secret technology against ADCs like Cinderace? I do not. I think that Pain Split Trevenant is a secret technology against all brawlers who play like noobs. Pain Split Tree is very fun. I love playing Pain Split Tree. It is one of my favorite moves in the game because it's funny to play and I actually know how to play it, unlike most people. But I think it's a lot stronger against players who don't know what they're doing than it is against players who do.
Kind of like Gudra.
Sort of like Gudra, yeah. Like if you see the Pain Split lock onto you and you have the brain cell to be able to take a step back and say, no, I'm stepping away, and then jump back in, then you're fine. Pain Split did nothing and you have to wait 9 seconds for it to come back. But otherwise, if you're playing against someone who doesn't know what they're doing and you're able to just push into them, then yes, the Cinderace you're fighting is just going to die. But yes, it is funny, especially if you're playing against Decidueye and the Decidueye throws a Unite move and you have your Pain Split on it. just stand in front of it and it dies and you stay at full health. It's just hilarious. Anyway, but yeah, Hornleech is just a lot more valuable. It's not that Pain Split is a bad move. It's just Hornleech is better. And not just a little better. It is so much better of a move. What's my highest win rate defender? That is a good question. We talking all time or just the ones that have over 200 games? All time. We got Crustle at 53. We got Gudra at 58. Lapras at 58. Greedent at 56. Yeah, it is Gudra and Lapras at 58. I haven't played Gudra in a long time though. I played Gudra in those veteran lobbies when I was younger. Fun fact, I was actually, from the beginning, I was a Muddy Water believer. I never once... Actually, no, that's a lie. I have played a single game of Dragon Pulse Gudra, and I hated it. I have always been a Muddy Water believer. Did Gudra used to be really good? Gudra goes... Gudra falls under the category of
Noob Stomper.
Noob Stomper, yes. It goes into what we call the Gudra effect, which means sometimes it'll have really good games, and so people think it's broken. But then the reason the games were really good is because your enemies just kept fighting you, and you kept getting fed, and you got levels, and you were able to just win every fight. Not because Gudra's broken, but because of the way it's designed. If your enemies are dumb enough to fight you, you will play well, you will do well with Gudra. But if you have the half a brain cell that's required to just walk away, Gudra will suffer. Gudra is one of, if not the worst defenders in the game right now. And it has been for a long time, and I think it will stay that way unless it gets a good rework.
Yeah, it's terrible. The only defender worse than Gudra right now is Greedent, and like Greedent just can't do much right now. Not with the power. It hasn't survived the power creep. It still does the same exact thing it used to do that people used to love, but it just doesn't get buffs. It doesn't get reworks, and there's just so much power creep. It can annoy people. It's pretty much a thicker.
It's a tanky Sableye.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. It's a tanky Sableye. That's all it is.
Do you prefer Woodhammer or Curse with Hornleech? Me personally, I much prefer Woodhammer. Woodhammer is also one of my favorite moves in the entire game. The manipulative power of getting those good corner shots and being able to just stun everybody at once is very strong. Especially with the Hammer-Horn-Hammer combo that I always use. All the pros use that combo as well. I learned it from one of the pros, Joey, currently known as Uguay, who is on the team You Need Coaching, or Unk. I learned that combo by watching him play the game. And it is why I will forever use Woodhammer Hornleech when I'm playing Trevenant. Because Woodhammer is such a fun move. You can do so much with it that most people don't expect. I saw a post on Reddit once that said, this Trevenant just glitched me through a wall, and I go, nope, that's just Woodhammer. Woodhammer, for those who aren't aware, Woodhammer can pull you through a wall.
I like grabbing people with Mamoswine from across walls and bringing them over to my side.
A lot of people don't know Ice Fang can reach through the wall.
I usually like when I'm cutting through, like say we're rotating from bottom to top lane. I'll just take a peek and see if the buffs are there, and if they're there, I'll just like reach over the wall and grab it so I can like take it out while I'm maneuvering. Pull it out because I like playing Ice Fang with high horsepower. So I'll pull it out and then I'll push it up as I'm like rotating.
Yeah, I still like Earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, I know Earthquake's the smarter move to pick, but man, it's just so fun grabbing somebody, flipping them over, and then pushing them back into your team so they can jump them.
I'm actually going to show that real quick because it's funny as heck. The range on Ice Fang is not as it seems.
Nope. It's a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It is deceptively far. Yes, it is. Just a
And
little
it's
bit.
deceptively strong.
Oh yeah, Ice
Yeah,
Fang
I don't-
is why Mamoswine is probably the third strongest defender in the game.
Yeah, and I don't even play Mammal Swine. I play Murder Swine.
So normally you'd be able to just hit your Ice Fang right there, just like normal, right?
Just casual 2,000 damage. No, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. But you can also hit from right here.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little.
just a little. Oh, I missed. Right there. I have to back up now to hit him from that range again.
Yeah. But remember, the farther you are, like
The more you drag them back, because you always drag them to the same spot.
The more straight your shot has to be, because if you look at the targeting, it's like an arrow. So if they're like there and off to the side just a tad bit, like you're gonna miss.
Nope. It's crazy, dude. I'm telling you.
It's still big. It's still big.
Like, I can step to the side here. I still catch him. And you can do some weird stuff with it too. Like, you can step here, push him right there. It is deceptively manipulative what you can do with Ice Fang. I have been working on things with it. Another funny thing that I like to do is I missed. Hold on. Yeah, that. It is a very difficult tech to get to work. I've been practicing it. I'm just doing it wrong at this point. Anyway. Why is it? Huh. I'll have to mess with that around. I'll have to mess around with that again later. But anyway, you can't eject inside your Ice Fang. It is a difficult tech to land. I am going to be practicing that in practice mode later, for sure. But anyway, have you ever practiced the eject button right when you earthquake at max distance to surprise enemies? Yes, I have. And for those who aren't aware, that does not work when you eject right after you cast Earthquake, because then you'll just jump and land. You'll jump from where you ejected to and land in your initial spot. You have to wait until after you jump and then you eject to increase your range. It is weird, but it's funny. And yes, I have done that many times. It is funny to do. Oh, that's why I keep messing it up. Yeah. I kept messing it up for a while too, and then I took it to practice mode. Guys, don't sleep on practice mode. Practice mode is good. Use practice mode. I use practice mode whenever I'm trying to learn a new Pokemon, whenever I'm trying to master a Pokemon I already know. If you've been around for a while, you know that I've been playing Crustle for a long time. Just a few weeks ago, I took Crustle to practice mode for like a half hour, and I did whatever I wanted to do with it. Not just running around doing random things. No, I'm practicing move ranges. I'm practicing damage ranges. I'm practicing hitboxes. I'm practicing combos, techs, all the fun things. Is anyone here a Greedent enjoyer? I play it occasionally. Greedent and Umbreon being the only two defenders you don't play is probably okay for right now. I will say Umbreon, when it's good enough, is an extremely versatile defender, and it has carried me through more than one bad season of ranked. But yeah, any other questions relating to positioning and engagements? When the game is close or you're a bit behind, do you want to be more active or reactive to the enemy in team fights? I think that depends on your scenario, right? Because if your entire team is behind you and your entire team is ready to engage, then you can definitely be more active in terms of trying to push team fights and trying to force a fight. But in terms of when you want to actually fight, if your enemy is being dumb, then force the fight. Force the fight, catch an enemy out. Make sure you can win the fight 4v5, because now you've caught an enemy and they're dead, and so you have a 4v5 you can win. If you're winning, you always want to be reactive in a fight. Almost always. There's a couple weird scenarios where if you're steamrolling everything, then you can definitely win. I do think if you have the numbers advantage, like you can see somebody going to back cap, you want to take advantage of your number advantage. If you have the 5 versus 4 and somebody on the enemy team is back capping, then go pressure their team. Start tapping Greg. Force them to make a choice. Don't rip Greg, but just maybe tap it a couple times. Scare them a little bit. If you don't have the numbers, like if you just finished a team fight and you have an ally down, definitely play more reactive. Wait for your enemies to do something. Another question, did we talk about team comp identities and engaging versus counter engaging? We did not. That is a good thing to talk about, though. Comp identities, what are you specifically talking about there? Comp identities? You guys can ask your questions out loud too if you want. I'm not making you write everything in chat. Which comps are good for engaging and which are better for counter engaging? I see. I would say something more brawl oriented. Like if you have your Mamoswine or your Crustle or your Lapras that wants to just brawl, you can definitely force an engagement if you see a good chance to. Or a Trevenant even, because you have all of the stuns and you have the power to make that happen. You can force an engage, pick somebody out, or just stun the entire enemy team all at once. Whereas if you're playing something more defensive, like a Snorlax is actually really versatile in this way. You can play defensive or aggressive Snorlax. That's why I really like Snorlax as a defender. But if you're playing something like a Snorlax or... Let's see what else. I have to look now. Jeez. A Slowbro. You can play more passive, maybe go for a counter push, a counter engage. Using a tool like your Slow Beam. But yeah. It'll also depend on what your allies are running. Like if your allies have attackers, then you might want to just wait, see what happens, catch somebody in a mistake. But yeah. My team wants me to pick up and learn Mammo or Crab. Is one better than the other? I think in terms of strength in general, Mamoswine is probably a little bit stronger. I think they're both really good defenders. If it were me, I would be picking up Crustle for my team because I have a lot more experience with Crustle than I do with Mamoswine. But that's just me. If you want to pick up Mamoswine instead, you can, definitely. But the high-level texts and specifications that you need to really pay attention to are much more difficult than they are with Crustle. So if you want to get to like a high level with it, Crustle's probably an easier one. But if you're going for strength alone, Mamoswine is your way to go. And then Tank Suicune, I don't know what's happening with Tank Suicune. I've seen support Suicune, like top lane support Suicune. I've seen that. But Tank Suicune, I have never seen. Is it better to defend your carries or disrupt the enemy carries in Groudon fight? That depends on what's happening. If you're playing more passively and you're waiting for your enemies to do something, defend your team. If you're playing more aggressively and you're trying to force a fight, disrupt the enemy carries. And it's especially handy when you're trying to secure Groudon. When you're trying to secure an objective, whether it's Groudon or a Reggie, or even any piece of farm, really, you can disrupt an enemy that could potentially out-secure your team so that your team can secure the objective. And that's something that Sableye is really good at too. If you notice, if you look at some really good Sableye players, they'll be targeting the enemy Inteleon during Groudon fight to make sure they can't secure. They'll be messing with the enemy Blaziken to make sure they can't get into position with their overheat. They'll be trying to force out that eject button or something like that. But yes, there is a time and a place for both, for sure.
Not that we have a time limit, but just FYI, we're coming up on 2 hours.
All right. Any other questions? Anything from Twitch chat? Any good pocket tank picks, like defenders that excel at protecting allies? I think Crustle is slept on in that regard. Crustle can definitely like to sit right next to an ally, and it will be able to protect them. I also think Rock Tomb, Crustle Wall, is, if you are really skilled with it and you can really aim it well, you can split your enemies, or you can split effectively peel enemies away from your team without using a move that can normally peel. Like if you're good at aiming it and you can just put it right between them, that is a good opportunity, unless they're a speedster and can jump right over it. But that's besides the point. more questions before we wrap this up?
Wow, you're still going.
Yeah.
I got a question. Could you repeat all of that?
Sure. Let me just give you 2 hours real quick.
Good class.
What?
Good class.
I think so. Since the meta is heavily all-rounder focused right now, what defenders do you think are meta? I think that a lot of strong brawlers are pretty strong right now. Snorlax is still very strong, but I do think Pokemon like Lapras and Crustle and Mamoswine are just better in the meta right now than
Yeah, I think
Snorlax
Umbreon's
is.
still great too.
Umbreon as well, especially the support moveset for Umbreon. Foul Play kind
Yeah.
of got hit pretty hard in the last patch, but Mean Look Wish is still pretty strong. Especially
Yeah,
if you can
I've been
draft it
playing
into the
Mean
right
Look.
team.
Yeah, I've been playing Mean Look. Oh, wow,
But yeah,
get
I
pulled
think
into a match as soon as I come online.
Lapras and Mamoswine are probably the top two in terms of meta. But Snorlax for sure is still up there in terms of strength. If you can get a
Yeah.
good match for it, it's still very versatile, I'd say. Like if you're first picking a defender and you don't know which one to pick, Snorlax is always a good pick.
Yeah, block against anything melee is just ridiculously strong.
True.
I mean, and it's not just the ability to block. The shield he gets is massive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the buffs from who knows how long ago now.
Yeah,
What
they
was it,
kept giving
before summer
Snorlax love.
that they buffed it?
Yeah, like I think twice. I think they buffed it like twice
I don't know.
because they
It's
buffed
good.
some of its moves in one time and they buffed its stats in another time.
Yeah. What defenders do you think are best at applying anti-heal to healing enemy Pokemon or to healing enemy teams? Clefable being the bane of your existence. I think Slowbro is really good at applying Curse Incense. Stealth Rock Crustle does have a place. X Scissor is usually stronger, but if you can find a place for it, Stealth Rock Crustle is good at applying Curse Bangle. Bullet Seed Greedent. If you really want to. I don't see why you would, but it technically is good at it. Curse Trevenant is pretty good at it. And Lapras, just in general. Water Pulse Lapras, probably, but in general as well. And then Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is really good at applying Curse. I think out of all the defenders, Curse Trevenant and Ho-Oh are probably the best at applying Curse. But Lapras is up there for sure. Slowbro is up there. Crustle is up there.
I had
But
to
yeah,
screenshot what's on my team right now. You'll have to see it later. You wouldn't believe me otherwise.
But yeah, I know
So-
I've been talking up Woodhammer Trevenant basically all this whole time. But Curse is actually stronger right now. I just really like Woodhammer. Curse is stronger after the buffs. What were you gonna say, Mensa?
I was gonna say, like, as far as the curse setting, it's not always the best for your defender to do it, right? Because 9 out of 10 times you're gonna want your defender running XP there. So now you're left with 2 other items, and if they're the curse setter, there's more likely going to be a better option on your team, like whoever your attacker is,
That's
like
true.
especially if they're a mage, right? I mean, it's a good question, right? Because sometimes you want to set it on the front line before anyone gets going, but your front line probably shouldn't be engaging before your backline mages are throwing something out there like a fire spin or like you want to draw them to you. Like you never want to, like, I don't want to say never, but like even Stevens, right? You want them to cross the line and come to you first. Right now, if you win an objective and you're pushing, that's different. But you know, on a typical team fight, say you're both set up, you both have everyone up, everyone's got their unite moves, whatever. You don't want the defender just running in and taking the first hit, right? You want to dish out damage before that ever happens. And whoever's dishing out that damage, and it's an AoE or a long-lasting effect, whoever that is, like that's probably the best person to do it. Like I think Dragapult is an amazing curse setter because once he gets going, every single one of his auto attacks are AoE.
I do agree with that point, which is why I said that Ho-Oh is probably the best curse setter out of all the defenders, especially with Sky Attack. With Flamethrower as well, but especially with Sky Attack. You can set that ring of fire around, and they will be taking damage before you even start the fight, and they will be hit with that curse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like what do you call it? Suicune, right? Like you can just, you don't have to freeze. Like people are so hell bent on like chucking and freezing and chucking and freezing, and like you can leave that water down for a while, and
yeah, and they will be afraid to step into it. It is effectively area denial.
Yeah. That area denial. That's something most people don't touch. Like,
yeah,
they don't talk about, right?
People don't. And it's why people don't think that Stealth Rock Crustle is any good. Area denial is a strong form of crowd control. I'll call it what it is. Area denial is crowd control.
Yeah. I do the same thing when I play Delphox. I don't throw my fire spins directly onto people. I throw
them where they
them.
Want to go.
I put it in the area I don't want them to go.
Exactly.
To be more specific, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want you rotating down, so I'm gonna put it below you. Like, go ahead, walk.
Yeah. It's like what I was talking about with my Trevenant earlier. I put my Woodhammer where I don't want them to be.
Yep.
In case they decided to be there. Because now they're in danger either way.
Yep. Alright, well, for anyone on my stream, I'm cutting the stream now. Thanks for watching.
I think I'm going to wrap it up here as well.
Yeah. And looking forward to changing my YouTube name to StrawHat Gaming. So I can just I'm just gonna stream everything we do.
Nice. Anyway.
Very nice.
Anyway, that was that. That's my defender positioning and engagement class. For those of you on Twitch or YouTube who are just now seeing this, I did this class in the StrawHat Grand Fleet Discord server. I don't think we have like an official actual way to get people in, but if you see it anywhere around, feel free to join us. We're a friendly space. But yeah. Anyway. I don't think I even want to deal with finding someone to raid. I'll see if there's anyone up, and then I don't care enough. Yeah, I don't care enough. I'm just gonna end stream here. I'll see you guys later. I'm not sure when I'll be on again, but we'll see what happens. See you guys.